ball knocked loose. White dive on it.
This is twice now the Celtics have been first to the floor.
They try to save with Horford. Unbelievable.
Boston first to the floor. So good.
Brown fakes, fires up the three. Bang! Tatum dives on the floor. Everybody dives. Jaylen Brown with the flush. Blocked by Porzingis. He's doing it all. Tatum spinning, driving, layup. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derrick White.
Welcome in, first to the floor, Ben Vallis here, along with Wayne Spooney and Jake Eisenberg. We're live here on YouTube to discuss the moves Brad Stevens and the team made earlier today. Shout out to everyone in the chat and to anyone listening to the podcast later on. Spooney, Jake, it's good to see you guys. It's been a little while. We had a quiet week on the pod here. How you guys doing?
What a time.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive. Brad Stevens delivering the goods just in time for this podcast. He really hooked us up here. Fireworks in early August here for Brad Stevens.
For sure.
Massive moves. It's been a huge week. Got to see Everton play live for the first time ever in Chicago. Nice. Got real drunk in Chicago. And then RJ Lewis, UMass alum, is a Boston Celtic. Huge week, dude. Huge week. What a pickup.
How was the Everton game?
It was fucking awesome, man. Like there was primarily Manchester United fans. And I got to hand it to them. They showed out and like filled the stadium, but they were the game after. But it was awesome, dude. We were 8 rows from the field. It was like we were on the field. And we just had a really, really good time. They even scored, so we got to cheer a goal. They lost 2-1, but that's not
Everton,
as bad
baby.
as the previous game. Yeah, that's right. It's Everton football, baby. But it was so fun. It was great. I'd never been to Chicago. Awesome, awesome city. Soldier Field was like really, really nice and in a really cool spot. So I just like, in the middle of the game, at one point, I turned to my buddy I'm with. I'm like, this is so awesome, dude. I'm having so much fun.
Yes.
That's what it's all about.
Yes.
That's so good. And Jake, you fresh back from the slopes. Did the body hold up?
Fresh back from the slopes. Like an hour in, I had just a monster fall. Like hit some ice, wishboned, tore apart. No, I didn't tear apart my hip, but like I lost both skis. Like ski dude came apart. Like patrol dude was like, "You good, bro?" I'm like on the ground. Like, yeah. But honestly, I have a renewed belief in my body's ability to heal itself. Like the next 2 days, I was stunned at how much my hip injury that I sustained an hour in healed. So maybe I don't need that HGH that I was looking for after all.
I was going to say, you juicing, bro?
Yeah, maybe it's working actually.
Look, quick vibes check-in before we get into, obviously, the Georges Niang of it all. How are you guys feeling? I think that you say, that somewhat ironically, fireworks, relative to how it's been the last couple of weeks. Legit fireworks, I think. Add to that, Neemias Keita, 17-9 for Portugal in 20 minutes. He's looking pretty good. He's going to challenge Chris Boucher for the starting center spot, which we'll obviously get to in a sec as well.
Against who? Who is that against?
Against Spain.
Okay.
Yeah,
right,
Euro powerhouses.
Yeah.
Once upon a time.
Are they good still? Yeah.
I don't
They're
know.
not the same. They're not the same.
Yeah.
But they have the foundation.
They're a team.
They're a team. That's a great way to put it. They
Institution.
are a team.
You know what I mean? They're not Liechtenstein or something.
Damn, shots
Throwing shade
fired.
at Liechtenstein. Shit.
They're great people.
Our Liechtensteinian fan base just logged off. All
I'm
right.
sorry.
So, I mean, the reason I ask is because, like, I have the clouds have parted in my sky and the sun is shining down on me, and I'm back. I'm watching Celtics highlights again. Specifically, there's this great, like, I think it's an hour-long YouTube clip. Maybe I'll throw it in the description after this, and it's like all the best clutch moments from the 2024 season. And man, I forgot how critical Drew Holiday was, particularly in that Indiana series, the conference finals. But like, obviously had a kind of a down year last year, but you just forget how like paramount he was, how critical he was to the championship run, and particularly in the postseason. But that is bringing some sort of like Celtics enjoyment back into my life. Have you guys progressed to that point yet, or does it still hurt too much to watch Jason Tatum on a basketball court?
There's a guy that's been posting Jason Tatum like a different Jason Tatum game every day since the injury, and some days I can watch it and it feels good. Other days I still can't do it. And you know what? I just go in nihilist mode and I just go back and watch Kristaps Porzingis highlights from the next series. No, I'm just kidding.
Like staring into the sun.
Yeah, those are short though. It's a quick watch.
Those are quick.
I've really gone to sort of like, oh man, did you hear this guy's doing pills? And then it's like 6 months later, it's like now he's doing heroin. I've been rewatching Summer League stuff while I'm writing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. Something's wrong with me. Not a lot, but like when I load stuff up, it's that or Luka Garza defense. So am I okay?
quick.
Am I? Yeah. No. Well, there's a lot of him getting roasted out there. Am I okay? How the vibes? Not great, Ben, is probably how I would describe it for the most part. But I'll be good once the season starts, and I'll convince myself Jordan Walsh is going to like win Sixth Man of the Year.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, well, everyone grieves in their own way, but I just had to check in. I'm sure folks out there are interested, and let us know in the comments as well where you're at in your recovery process from how last season ended. All right, Georges Niang. We'll start there. I think fan favorite Georges Niang traded along with 2 seconds to the Utah Jazz. The Jazz acquire him via or into the John Collins traded player exception. In return, we save a lot of money. We also get RJ Lewis Jr., who fills the Celtics' final two-way roster spot, I believe. We're now really close to the first apron. I think like within $2 million of the first apron. Our payroll has gone from roughly $540 million to $239 million just by saving so much in tax. And I think we also have now 2 traded player exceptions ourselves. We've got the $22 million traded player exception, which I think we got in the Drew trade. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now we have an $8 million traded player exception through jettisoning Georges Niang. So a lot happening. If you love like salary and numbers and CBA stuff, then like this is an exciting day for you.
Yeah, the 22s from the KP trade, but say 6-1 half a dozen the other. So essentially the 22 and 8, that's KP's contract right there. So we've generated essentially 2 separate TPEs out of KP to add up to that 30 million. So it's a great trade in it that accomplishes multiple of my goals, other than I don't love giving away the 2 seconds, but you got to pay the piper to get off salary. And getting the TPE, the 8 million TPE out of it is nice because it gives us some flexibility, even when Tatum's back, because you can keep it for a year. So we could use it in next July. It'll still be around. But it does 2 things: saves us a bunch of money and makes us worse because Georges Niang is a legitimate rotation player. So I love it. I didn't love the second move we made due to one of my goals is getting worse. RJ Lewis, probably not an NBA player. I think he's just a throw in because we had to take something back. But I guess you could look at him as like same value as a bad second. He just got drafted, or rather he's undrafted, but he was on like the map for the late 50s. So, he's not an asset. He's worth nothing. He's just the thing we got back to make a trade. But this is a good trade. If you're going to dump salary, this is a really good trade.
Great. What a time to be alive. Times have really changed. That's for sure. Between the beginning of last season and off season and now just shedding and shedding and shedding. Yeah, I think that that kid that we just traded for is RJ Lewis. I lost his name in my brain, which I honestly shouldn't make too much space for. I don't think in my brain. I don't think that he has the final two-way. I believe that he can just be cut and Amari Williams can just get the last two-way still. We do have an open roster spot, so if Brad actually likes this guy, then they could sign him to the final two-way and then put Amari on an actual contract. I would just expect that RJ Lewis to be gone. So Chris Porzingis was essentially traded for 1 second and RJ Lewis Jr. Is that the final tally?
Yep.
It's not great. That illness fucked us so bad. Like, not only did it like lose us the Knicks series, 4.4 points per game in the series is literally branded inside of my brain forever. 0 points in game 1. Not only that, but the fact that he looked the way that he did means that the return that we got for him is a second and a guy that we're going to cut and we'll be playing on the Cairns Taipans by the time the next season rolls around. That hurts, because if he had played well and Tatum still tears his Achilles, like if Tatum doesn't, then I think that it might just keep KP. But if Tatum tears his Achilles, they would have gotten something good for Porzingis if he just played normally. Let's say they go down to the Pacers in the conference finals because Jalen's knee's not right and just the Pacers are just they are that magical team. They would have gotten something for him, and now you end up with a second in RJ Lewis. And the picks cupboard is unfortunately got a little bit more bare. And like these second round picks are just helpful for making these deals. And you had 2 in hand in the Drew Holiday deal, and then you lost him. And that's going to annoy me because he's probably going to come out healthy. I still don't really understand what happened there exactly, because he finished the playoffs looking relatively normal. But yeah, tough.
I mean, we acquired 2 second-round picks in the draft, trading back, I believe, in the second round. So, like, I don't know if what 2 picks are included. I don't think we have that detail yet, but, like, it's probably those. And just, I think it boosts the value of that trade and the quality of that trade now, given that we understand the utilization of the picks that we acquired as a result of that. It's always disappointing in the moment where you're like on the edge of your seat. My guy's about to get picked by Brad Stevens. Brad's gonna do it, and then he like trades back for multiple seconds. Here's why: because you need them to get off money in this instance. And I've seen like on Reddit and Twitter and places like that, the fan reaction is like similar to what you're saying, Jake. Like, what are we doing? Like, how do we only get like fuck all basically, and have to give away picks for Kristaps Porzingis? Like, Kristaps Porzingis is an all-star. Like, why aren't we getting more? Why do we even trade him in the first place? And like, these people have no understanding of the salary implications of the fact that we're always going to get off Kristaps Porzingis. Yes, it's insanely disappointing that we've got essentially like definitely negative value in return for him compared to like what he looked like at his best as a Celtic. But I think a lot of people are even failing to realize like the direction and the intent in what we're doing this offseason. So I think some people need to be reminded of that. Like we're trying to save money here, and we're waiting for Jason Tatum to get back in the process.
Just brace yourself for when Kristaps Porzingis has like a 20-game stretch of like 22 points per game on 65% true shooting and like anchoring a competent, solid Hawks defense. And we're going to see Bleacher Report graphics of the SpongeBob meme that was used in the Aaron Neesmith trade for Malcolm Brogdon, which is just the return for Kristaps Porzingis, a paperclip and a piece of string in SpongeBob's hand. I promise you, we're going to see that meme. But you're right, Ben. Like, it had to be done. It just would have been nice to have gotten whatever the value would have been for a non-plague version of Kristaps Porzingis.
On Georges Niang, Spoonie, like he was always going to take on maybe one of 2 different forms for the Celtics. And like, interestingly enough, he spoke about like joining Boston on a podcast recently. Yeah. Then on episode 2 of Derrick White's podcast earlier today, they had a little segment like welcoming Georges Niang and like Massachusetts guy, glad to have him. We played together in the G. We played against each other in the G. Like they had some rapport, and that was immediately made redundant. Apologies, Derek. But he was always going to take on the form of being this like veteran guy around to like for the tutelage of our younger guys in this gap year, or he was going to take on the form of what he now has taken on, which is being this salary cutting piece. Are you glad that it's gone this way, or would you have preferred to have kept the guy around?
So I think Jake and I have probably been like the 2 highest on Niang as just a player from what I've seen around like Twitter and Reddit. Yeah, yeah. People do not think Georges Niang is good. I've seen people compare him to Chris Boucher and say Boucher's better. I don't know if I agree with that. I give me the 6'7" shooting wing, but regardless, I just don't really think was he going to be able to be a long-term piece on this team? Almost certainly not, right? He's 32. Like, he probably wants one last, like, mid-level type contract. I just don't think he's someone we would have brought back at, like, $10 million a year. We kind of already have that salary spot filled up by Hauser. So he's just going to make us better this year. And I truly do not think there's any reason we should be good this season. We should be diving headfirst into the tank. So I'm glad we used him this way, and I'm glad that we got the TPE because then we can use his salary. You know, we kind of put his salary on layaway to come back and use later next offseason if we do want to launch up back above the aprons. Although I actually think using a TPE hard caps you at the second apron if it's not used in the same offseason. So We can't totally launch back over, but
That's
at least
bullshit.
I know, dude, it's ridiculous. It is an asset where we can basically do what Utah did, and it's like if there's a vet out there, a team just wants to get off that makes $7 million, we could just take him and get paid a second, and it's like this guy's still good. This team just doesn't want his salary on their books anymore. So I think getting the TPE is nice. And primarily it makes us worse, and I think that's better than George's Niang being on the team and making us better.
I mean, we could probably get into the Boucher thing as well. Firstly, it's hilarious that Niang got just eviscerated and shat on by hordes of Celtics fans, only to never play for the team. Like he just had to go through that shit for absolutely no reason whatsoever. So that was unfortunate. He had to deal with that. I guess the $8.5 million he's getting paid next season is a nice return to having to deal with that. That's a nice. I'd be very willing to take online ridicule if it meant that I got to get paid $8 million to play basketball, even if it's for the Utah Jazz. I think I would enjoy myself quite nicely. But so we get to the Boucher piece of it. Obviously it kind of wraps in here. Like I think everyone probably kind of likes Boucher, and I'm not sure how much it swings wins and losses. I do think maybe on paper it makes us a little bit better, just because I think the roster construction makes more sense now. Like, I think he would, if I had to bet, he would be our starting 4 as it sits today. Because I've got some numbers for you on Boucher and Pirtle, but even though I think he can start at the 4, I think he's going to play a lot of time at the 5 alone as well. And so I think he's cleared the pathway for Baylor, Walsh, Ugo, and Minot to actually play more. And that was what was going to be frustrating, I think, if Niang had stayed, is that while they may be comparable players, Niang was kind of blocking those guys to an extent. You could find ways to get them in there, but Boucher, I think, just slides closer in that 4 and 5 spot. So I'm really looking to create that win-win scenario that we've been talking about a little bit, where it's like, if the Celtics are better than we expect, I want it to be because Baylor, Walsh, Ugo, and Minot are good, not because George's Niang has a really good season. That's the way that if we don't tank, I want it to be because of the young guys have popped, and then tanking doesn't really matter at all because we've gotten the injection of talent that we're looking for. And if they're just not as good and they're as bad as some people think they're going to be, then we get the 7th overall pick that we desperately need as well. So I like that it creates the win-win scenario that I've been hoping that we can kind of walk into next season with.
Yeah, and if you're creating like a context for guys like Baylor and Walsh and Ugo to thrive, the best thing you can do is put a shooting big out there and space the floor and clear the driving lanes for them and make those reads easier, make the rim finishing easier. Like, if you're just going to throw them out there with Keita every possession, it's almost can be hard to evaluate what they'd look like in sort of a more robust offensive and defensive infrastructure, right? Like, if teams are just attacking Luka Garza every single possession, how can you evaluate how Baylor's defense is, right? So if you get like a competent center, competent 4-5 around them, it allows you, like, in context, like, okay, we have a good lineup on the floor except for Jordan Walsh. Is Walsh going to completely undermine this? Where you can't really make that evaluation if it's like, well, Walsh didn't have to defend a pick and roll because they just ISO'd Luka Garza for 7 straight possessions, right? So I think Boucher makes a lot of sense in that aspect too. And like just providing some shooting from a guy who can play the 5, I think will go a long way to just making things easier on some of the young guys too. His jumper is painful to watch, but it goes in. He shot 38% on 3.5 catch and shoot threes a game last year, which is like totally solid. So, I mean, he does have some stretch to his game, and like, he's I think you're right, Jake. He'll play some 4, but he's the best center on the roster right now, and I'm not sure how close it is.
He's the best 4 and 5, I think.
yeah, probably.
I think it takes our front court from like a 2 out of 10 to the 3 out of 10, or 4 out of 10. Like it's a pretty marginal improvement, but it definitely, I think he is automatically promoted to like the most talented, like big on the roster, if you want to call him that. Although Portugal FIBA. Neemias Queta might have a thing or two to say about that. But I only wonder if he'll play him if Joe's trying to win, right? And will he play Boucher at the 5 so that he can bring in Queta at the 5 off the bench and have like contrasting play styles, just a much shitter version of like Horford at the 5, and then you bring in Cornet at the 5, where you've got a shooting big to start, and then you've got kind of like a rim running rolling big to come in off the bench and to play around with those contrasting play styles. Is that something that Joe tries to utilize? But he's only 6'9", Boucher, and the other thing is he's 32. I've always pictured him as like this 24, 25-year-old, but I guess I've been doing that for like 8 years now, and he was finally old. But it'll be interesting to see how he's utilized. Sorry, Jake.
His rookie year, he was 25. That's all I was going to say. So that's he hasn't been in the league as long as a 32-year-old would. He's basically Baylor age. Like Baylor's going to be very old if he sticks in the league for 7 years. But I don't know. The shooting is. We'll find out if it's real. A little bit, because last season was his best season shooting it in quite a while. Like he's got 2 seasons on his resume shooting above 36% last season, and then 20/21, which if I'm not mistaken, I believe they had 1 year. That was the year where they played in Tampa. That COVID year, that was the year, and then they drafted Scotty Barnes. So I was reading a piece from Samson Falk, who, if you guys follow Caitlin Cooper through the playoffs, he is her co-host. So
cool.
elite ball knower, and he just reposted a piece that he wrote in January because they were kind of shutting down Boucher, and it looked like they were going to lose him at the deadline. And he basically said that he's just always impactful when he comes on the court. Like 97th percentile in that 20/21 season in half court scoring. He was, and as of January 28th, like the 96th percentile in half court scoring. Backup big men often have like insane metrics because they can come in, play crazy hard, grab a bunch of rebounds, grab a bunch of blocks. He's always been a stocks guy. Like he's an advanced stats darling, but that's often the case with these backup big men. And when you scale up their role, it's just not the case. Xavier Tillman, 99th percentile defensive EPM. I'm not sure if Brad is just filtering that on dunks and threes and then just seeing who's available and bringing them in because Boucher scales really highly there. I think at worst, Boucher's really fun. He plays really hard and shoots. He drives closeouts. He cuts well. I think he's going to be fun at the absolute minimum.
Yeah, loud
Speaking of a
blocks.
minimum, it's a 3.3 million 1 year vet min. Sorry, Speedy, I'll cut you off. But I think important to call out the actual salary there. Sure. What were you going to say? Sorry.
I was just going to say, like, on the fun factor, like, he gets loud blocks and misses rotations and lets other teams dunk, and that's kind of fun too. So, like he's been a top 100 player per like Darko's daily plus minus for 5 straight years. And you're right, Jake. Like, there's some tomfoolery with backup centers, but that's a pretty long sample size of being a positive, impactful player. And like, I don't expect him to be good for 33 minutes a night, but I don't see any reason he can't be very solid in 24 minutes a night for us, even if it's not, he's not going to be as impactful as the advanced stats make him look. But like, he's just a solid player. He really is. I've always found him like annoyingly good when he plays us too. So that'll be nice not to be on the wrong side of that. What
is annoying to an extent, because I could see him being valuable for this team long term, actually, more so than Niang, just because of the very obvious holes at center and the front court in general. And Brad was, I think, only able to get this on a 1 year deal. It would have been nice to get him on it. Like, of the 3 guys, free agent mins that he brought in, Garza's the one that got the 2 year guarantee, and then Minot has the team option, and then Boucher is just a free agent. So of the 3, he's the least likely to be here long term, and of the 3, he would be the most likely, I think, to help us in the playoffs as it stands right now, which is unfortunate, but probably why he didn't get the extra year, because he probably thinks he can get more if he plays a bigger role. Mm-hmm. Now, at the deadline, it's possible he plays really well, and it's very easy for a team to trade for him. Like if you're a contender looking for like to fill out your rotation that can give you some versatility in that front court, I could see the Celtics maybe finding a way to replenish their second round picks. Like the ceiling of that would be, can you get Jay Crowder a 5 second round pick deal done, like the Milwaukee Bucks did that one year? That would be really nice, and then obviously you can kind of then slide down the standings if he's been playing well.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if that happens. He might be like a sneaky late round like fantasy pickup as well because of the the playing time that he'll get for the C's.
Yeah.
But he only played 50 games each in the last 2 seasons, which is interesting. But anything else? I suppose one thing, he has 4 nicknames attributed to him on Basketball Reference. Do you know? Can you guess any of them?
The Trebuchet?
No, that'd be fitting though.
Damn.
I have no idea.
They're all strange. We've got Swatter Boy. We've got Slim Duck. Okay,
Ooh,
Trae Boucher. So you were right.
Okay,
there.
let's go.
Trae Boucher. And then Bloc Québécois. Because he's from Quebec. Which I think Bloc Québécois is something I can get behind. That's spicy.
Slim Duck is elite, dude. That's ridiculous. What does that even mean?
I have no idea. But yeah, Trae Boucher. Well done, Jake. Anything else before we get to this ad break?
No. Do you guys know how far below the second apron we are here?
I know that we're a couple million just above the first. So
Yeah,
I think
like
we're
1.7
1.5 or
mil.
2 million. Yeah, above the first.
We can do it after the ad read, but I think we should talk about does this mean tax
Sure.
stuff and how likely it is that we make an extra move now. But yes, I can.
Yeah,
jump
we'll be
on.
right back to talk some finances. Here's a quick word from our friends over at Prize Picks.
That's right, Prize Picks time, baby. The Red Sox taking down the Astros, beating the Dodgers. Are we back? My very limited Red Sox knowledge is becoming slightly less limited the better they do, and my timeline gets flooded with positive things. Roman Anthony's our guy. When he's out there, we're going more. Give us it all. Hits, RBIs. We're going more on the Roman Empire as we move through the Major League Baseball season, and we're getting closer and closer to the NFL. Will we? Hey, a little Travion Henderson, more or less, the preseason. That's some true sicko behavior, which I definitely endorse. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. That's right.
Shout out
Sox
Prize
are
Picks.
winning.
Great way to optimize, enhance your hoops or baseball viewing experience. Go the Red Sox. I'm gonna have to get on board. I think they've had some smatterings of success this season, and of course, Spoonie and I were just talking before we went live about the Patriots' upcoming season as well. It doesn't sound like this is the year, Jake, for me to jump on the bandwagon. But if I were, Prize Picks would be a great way for me to enhance that viewing experience.
This is the year. This is like the pre
Here
second
we go.
dynasty year. This is like they're kind of back, fringe playoff team, and then dynasty's back on starting next season.
Speaking of building
good.
dynasties, should we get to the books, the salary books
Yeah.
for the Celtics?
Let's do it.
That's right.
Yeah, Nick's numbers are right here. I guess what I saw didn't have Boucher's contract in it, so we're $4 million above the first apron, which I think we're like $13 million above the tax, something like that. So
12.1 I've got here, which
12.1.
Which, hey, that's a 3-team Anthony Simons deal now. Like you can get completely under the tax in one Anthony Simons move. What I also like is you can't get under the tax with one Sam Hauser trade into a TPE. It would because I really want Sam Hauser to stay on this team. I saw a stat posted by Todd Whitehead yesterday that was the most guarded shooters in the NBA, who had the smallest amount of space on each contest, and Sam Hauser was one above Steph Curry, a bunch above everybody in the NBA. Again, the summer of proving that Sam Hauser is underrated continues. So I really want him to stay on the Boston Celtics. So I think that's the dream for Brad Stevens, though, right? Is now he's inching, he's doing the step ladder thing. He's just getting closer and closer to getting under the tax without giving up like real assets. Obviously, we talked about the second round pick stuff, but I do think that the white whale is going to be this Anthony Simons trade that he's looking to do, because I think it's going to be hard, but it's easier, I think, a little bit now that you're closer.
Yeah, man. On the Hauser, like you almost can't do it with Hauser to get under the tax, because you'd have to add Ugo and Baylor and take back one person for 3, and then I think you're at like 12 for your roster, and you can't really take 12 guys into the season. So I think that just the machinations that we need to go through with Hauser, it's like if it's Hauser, it also has to be Pritchard, and there's just no fucking way we're trading both of those guys. So yeah, I tweeted this out. It's like, this is prime for a Simons downgrade and, you know, take back 14 million or whatever it takes, and then you're under the tax. And I would much prefer that over losing Sam Hauser. So yeah, man, I don't know if that trade's out there for Simons right now. I wonder if maybe we try to do it at the deadline, because we got time. There's no need to rush it. But Brad seems to prefer to like kind of get his business done when the rest of the league is kind of quiet. So I would not be shocked if he wants to get it done before the season starts. It's just like but does he like look for an actual guy back, or I think it might just have to be a straight dump, considering like how the league's valuing these no defense scoring guards.
Well, yeah, if we just had to attach 2 seconds to get rid of Niang, like surely, like what kind of draft capital are we expected to attach to get rid of Simons at this point? And that's why I think they've kind of forced our hand to have to go into the season and redevelop his trade value a little bit and make him seem more enticing to a potential contender who, you know, for somehow is in a position to actually make a trade for that chunk of salary. I think that's the only kind of option we've got going forward.
Yeah, and RJ asking who's a player you'd want to get back for Simons as like a guy that could help the Celtics. The Grizzlies do feel like the team that when we've been trying to play around with trades, and a team that could actually use additional ball handling and explosive scoring. But then you kind of have to then you send KCP to that third team. Do you take back KCP? Do you get a pick for that? And then you rehab him quick, like in the first half of the season, and then flip him at the deadline as well? Don't know. There's so many moving parts, but I do think we've been saying this, and I know Spoonie's was stronger on it, and that they're definitely trying to get under, but like they obviously want to get under, but they're just not going to do it if it means really having to attach actual draft assets. Mm-hmm. So like if it means that they'd have to give up their 2027 first to get the Simons deal done, I don't think they're doing that. But if they can get it done with 2 more seconds, don't even know if they have. How many more seconds have they got left at this point? Because I know they got a couple in that draft night trade, but they've been sending them out here pretty willy-nilly, and which is why you might need to do that Boucher trade at the deadline to get some willy-nilly second rounds back your direction here.
Is that going to be the most exciting part of the season when we get the great second round pick mega acquisition at the deadline? That's kind of a sad realization.
Okay, slightly more than I thought. I think I was listening to a pod the other day that said that Charlotte has like 15 seconds though, so we're lacking. We're slacking, Brad. Come on, gotta get those seconds up. Those are rookie numbers. Pump those things up.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, like it goes quick, man. Like that means we don't even have, get access to draft picks 7 years in the future, and we've only got 4 seconds. Like from the Walshy draft when he like accumulated all those to now, like he's really spent, like I said, it's like cigarettes in jail, man. He's just doling them out for favors. But so let me ask you guys this: like, if we go to Memphis, and let's just forget like the salary cap and making a 3-team trade for now, and we said to Memphis, Brandon Clark, what's it going to cost? Because Clark gets us under the tax, and he's like a useful rotation player for the next 4 years, right? And they say, we want the 2027 first. Are you doing it?
No. He's not good enough to me.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, but at the same time, I want to see what Brandon Clark looks like, because now he's coming off the Achilles. He looked good before he got hurt again last season. So that's positive. I forget the injury off the top of my head that he sustained after coming back.
I think it might have been an Achilles, wasn't it?
No. Well, that was he did the Achilles, but he did do another Achilles. It wasn't a second Achilles. I think it might be
all right, sorry, yeah.
But so I want to see what he looks like after he comes back again. So, because I do really like him, and again, it was knee, according to Nick NBA in the chat here. So, I want to see what he looks like, because in theory, if he comes back and looks solid, then the guy you're drafting with your 2027 first round pick probably isn't as good as Brandon Clark, and Brandon Clark on his next contract is probably getting relatively cheap at that point.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't like the idea of sending out firsts right now, just because there's so much in flux. And if things go badly, I think you do need to hold on to these first round picks.
Exactly. Yeah. I have nothing to add to that. The future is not certain enough. As much as I'd like to say, like, Jason Tatum's going to come back and be 110% of his former self, like, we just don't know. And there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of uncertainty, as much as I hate to admit that. So we can't be giving up first round picks, especially for, like, I don't know. I don't want to call him a non-needle mover, but like, does it really put us back into championship contention to make that move? I don't think so. So I would be holding off on that and just trying to see what happens up until the trade deadline with Simons. Speaking of Nick NBA, very quickly, go and follow the guy on Twitter. Had an unfortunate Twitter mishap where he lost his account. He's got a new account, all the same great content and everything, but it's a bit of I can only imagine to be a massive pain in the ass and a shocking thing to have this Twitter account that you've like built up have stripped from you. So go search for him on Twitter. He is there. Go follow Nick NBA. Awesome content all the time. Anything else financially, like, on anything, guys, before we move on to? I've got a litany of poorly researched news items to end up the show today. Anything else on the financial aspects?
All good.
Nope.
All right. Tatum boot watch. I don't know how closely you guys have been watching, or really lack thereof. There was a heavy.com article recently where they quoted an anonymous scout who basically said, quote, he was moving really well. There might have been a slight limp or something, but the surprising thing to me is that he didn't have a boot for any of it. I'm no doctor, but I've seen guys coming back from Achilles tears, and he looked way ahead. I don't know. This is gonna punctuate our year, guys. This is what it's gonna be for the next 9 months.
The first day or game where Jack Samo, Noah Delzell send a video of Tatum going through a pre-game warm-up, but even though he's not even close to coming back and he's looking pretty good, it's gonna feel so good. But yeah, inject all of the boot watch content into my bloodstream. I don't know if this is the time where we want to share our sourced. Our little birdie. I feel like Spoonie should take the reins on this one, given you're the lawyer here, and I don't want to, out our guy.
Yeah, we just, there's a rumor. There's a rumor that has some substantiation, but we can't say anything else than that Tatum is not playing next year. And I think regardless of his health, he's obviously not going to be healthy for the most of the season, and it does make some sense to just have him not play, even if he comes back and he can play in March. Kind of what's the point? So we heard there is some level of substantiation to this rumor that he's not playing next year. So that's all we're at liberty to share. But we appreciate when the birds chirp in our ears on a beautiful Sunday morning. So appreciate the info. Take that information and do with it as you please.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great handling of our first and only ever source as well. Well done, guys. I'm going to keep my mouth closed before I put my foot in it. Pags has apparently made some movements to buy the Connecticut Sun for a sale price of $325 million and a potential relocation to Boston. And there's a lot of aspects as to why that could be interesting. For me, we've not really spoken about this, but does that put Billy C and the Celtics in a better position to arrange some sort of arena for themselves, given that could be a collaborative effort with now the Boston Sun or whatever they rename themselves to? Surely it's not going to be the Sun if you've ever been to Boston. Sorry, I threw a lot at you guys there.
It was nice when I went in April 2022. It was a beautiful time, beautiful sun. I love it. I think that Boston is just a sports town. I think Julian Edelman said it best one time, is that Boston is a sport town and LA is Hollywood. I think that in whatever version of that the Connecticut Sun that comes to Boston is going to get so much support. I know I see anytime I saw when the Fever came recently, obviously it was a sold out, but anytime the WNBA comes to town, like they get huge support from Boston. I think it would be great. I would be very excited to add another Boston team to my repertoire, but yeah, I can't say I'm familiar with any of the players' game on the Connecticut Sun as it stands today. But shout out Pags. He found his way to get a team, just not the Boston Celtics, the Boston Sun. We got a regardless of how you feel about the climate in Boston. I do think that maybe we could do a full episode on renaming the Connecticut Sun.
Patreon.
The Boston somethings, you know.
Any thoughts in the comments, Spoonie? Any ideas?
No, I was just going to say it is like the thought of now Pags issuing that letter basically calling Chisholm poor after the whole like team purchase. And now like, is he going to go and like, bet that stadium you were building with all your money, my rich friend, is very funny. But one, the Celtics getting their own arena would be amazing. And it makes sense to just the more teams you can put in the arena, generate more revenue, obviously makes more sense. Have you guys ever been to Mohegan Sun where the Connecticut Sun play? There is nothing around it. And like no one is going to Mohegan. I guess they thought like, oh, people are at the casino and they'll like go to a WNBA game. To me, that doesn't really make any sense because like how do you generate a fan base off of people who are primarily there as like a weekend trip? You can't. So like it makes way more sense for it to be in Boston. And it's like there's like no people live near Mohegan Sun really. So it's just a really bizarre setup, and that I imagine they paid a significant amount of money to get the team. So moving to Boston, give them the name, the Lobsters. I don't know, something goofy.
Well,
let's do
Red
it.
Claws.
The Red Claws,
Available.
yes, man. I don't know. That's a fantastic name. The Boston Red Claws would fucking slap. Give me the merch. Let's go.
Hell yeah. Before we get on to the Pritchard comments and a few other news items, we might take a break to hear a quick word from our friends over at Game Time.
It's summertime still. There's a bunch of amazing events going on all over the country. I was just in Chicago. Got to see Everton play some soccer. Got to watch them lose, so I got the true toffee experience. And you know how I got in the door? Game Time. It was super easy to get tickets. I just hopped on the app, searched for the game or the team, and then I was shown all the available tickets and all the best deals right on my phone. And the curated deals make it even easier to find the best seats at the best prices. And last minute deals can get you tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. But maybe my favorite feature is the seat view. Shows you exactly what it looks like from your seat before you buy. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time.
Shout out Game Time. Shout out my dog for losing her shit during
Loves
that
Game
ad
Time.
read.
Game Time.
Yeah, big fan. It's where she gets all her tickets for the upcoming dog bowl. I don't know. Let's move on from that horrible moment that I just conjured. Peyton Pritchard, recently interviewed by Chris Forsberg, had a couple of notable comments that I think we can riff off of here. So first one being, quote, "We're definitely trying to be a playoff team. We're trying to win a championship. It's not even about the playoffs. We have one standard in Boston, and that's to win a championship. Everyone in that locker room will have the goal of competing for a championship, and we'll do everything in our power necessary to go for that. That's what the fans should know." So a dissonance, I think, between Peyton Pritchard and maybe the front office there, Spoonie and Jake. Do you take anything from this? Like this, he obviously has to say this. We know that Pritchard is like such a hooper and such a competitor and a winner. Like you kind of wouldn't expect him to say anything but this. But does it change your like upcoming viewpoint on the season at all?
I'm gonna go with no.
Well, like this is still the mentality that I want Pritchard.
Yeah.
I want the team to have. I want Pritchard to have this mentality. I'm not surprised that he feels this way. And we've kind of said like I think there is a ceiling outcome here where they can be a 5th seed or a 6th seed. And again, if that happens, that means that the team is like guys like Pritchard have taken a step forward. Jaylen Brown's been better than as a number one option than I think that he can be. It means that Hugo Gonzalez is in fact Spanish Kawhi Leonard. Like these things are within the range of outcomes, the Spanish Kawhi part notwithstanding. But
Whoa, hold on.
well, it's Hugo slander. But yeah, like I want Pritchard to think that he can lead this team and be an all-star next season. And it's going to be the job of Brad Stevens to just slowly make it more and more difficult to make the playoffs, which is essentially what he's done for the most part. I do think the Boucher thing makes it maybe slightly easier to just create more well-fitting lineups. Sorry, that was what I wanted to share earlier. Jakob Poeltl and Chris Boucher last season, 250 minutes, 9.24 net rating. Yeah. And then you can extend it to Kelly Olynyk too, and they had a 7-point net rating in 150 minutes. So playing as that 4-5 spot, Boucher, tank season's over, baby. We're going dynasty's back on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if we turn Keita into Pirtle, we'll be in really good shape next year. So you kind of hit the nail on the head when I see this, Ben. Is like, this is like exactly what Peyton Pritchard would say, and like, I don't think it's bullshit coming from Pritchard. Like, I honestly think a part of him believes like all I have to do is make every 35-foot three I take and we'll win the championship. And I could do that, guys. Like that's, something that could totally happen. So I think Pritchard truly, truly believes it. And that is like the mentality that's turned him into an undersized point guard going late in the first round to the sixth man of the year. So, but as insofar as like my expectations, does not change those at all. But I love that Pritchard is that dog, and that's like, it's awesome. We got him locked up for a long time, and I'm really excited to see what he looks like playing 34 minutes a night.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway is just how fun it's going to be to watch like an expanded role Peyton Pritchard this year. And over the last week, I did on Patreon the hype rankings, and Peyton Pritchard was like top 3.
Yeah.
He was 2, spoiler alert. Just because him with this expanded role, I think is going to be so fun. And he will try and take it upon himself to make us like an above 500 team, or in his words, a championship contending team. He probably truly thinks that he can do that. And so to watch him enact that form of Peyton Pritchard, I think is going to be really exciting. He also talked about how much it sucks to, had to have moved on from a lot of the key pieces from the championship, particularly Drew Holiday. He talked about Drew Holiday a lot. So it's good to just hear from a player through the offseason where shit's quiet. We can talk about Derrick White's podcast as well before we wrap up. But anything else on the Pritchard comments?
You're right. I do love hearing from him. And I do love how insane of a worker he is. And I know at this exact moment, he's probably in the gym right now. And he just put up his 1100th 3-point attempt. And he's working on his pick and roll now that he has to take more of that load on. He's working on his defense. He's bloodied the ninth nose of the international pro that he's flown out from Spain. I'm currently watching Dragon Ball Super for the first time, and they're back in the hyperbaric time chamber, which
hell yeah.
For every day that you're in there is a year in the chamber, is a day in real life. And Goku and Vegeta have just spent 3 full years in there preparing for this space martial arts tournament. And I'm like, it's such a psychotic decision. It's like, we're going to do nothing but fight each other for 3 straight years. And if Peyton Pritchard had the opportunity to do that, if it wouldn't age him, you know what I mean? You don't want to give age 3 years. I know he would probably do it. He's like, that means I'm only away from my wife and dog for 3 actual days, but I get to get 3 years better. I'm doing that immediately.
He would.
Thanks for indulging me in that nerd.
I loved every second
session.
of it.
He'd also fight Vegeta, I think, if he had the opportunity. But
absolutely.
He'd probably roll out a basketball and try and hoop against him.
Yeah, 1v1 me, Vegeta. You got.
I did some Derrick White podcast reaction commentary on the Patreon pod last week. Haven't had a chance to chat to you guys about it. We talked about just with the Pritchard stuff, but it's just good to hear from one of the guys during the offseason. And we've never had the pleasure of a player podcast. It is funny that I suppose we did have the Enos Freedom Hour or whatever it was with Chris Forsberg. Shout out to Forsberg for like trying to make it happen. Really respect that. But now we've got the Derrick White pod finally. Unfortunately, Luke Cornett is no longer around to be brought on as a regular guest because from a content perspective, Derrick's got to be kicking himself there. But have you guys had a chance to listen to it? And what are your thoughts so far?
I have not. I've seen a couple of clips. I got to be honest, if I had to rank who was most likely to create a podcast, Derrick White wouldn't have been very high on the list. Every time he's on the mic in the press conferences, it looks like he wants to get out of there immediately. But Ben, I know you've checked it out because no one is mining Celtics content harder than Ben Vallis, which is why
this is true.
You're the GOAT Celtics podcaster.
Well, Spoonie, have you had a chance to listen to it?
No, I was just gonna say I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on it, Ben.
Exactly.
But I wonder if it's like a favor to his buddy because I think it's like his best friend he's doing it with. That's the only thing I could think because like the clips didn't blow me away. No offense, Derrick, I love you.
Hey, our first pods were worse than they are now as well. So that's
true. Very, very true. Yes. So true. I think it's definitely an acquired taste. And what I said on the Patreon pod was like, we've already acquired that taste, in particular Jake Eisenberg, several times, in fact. And so if you are tuned in to like Derrick White's frequency already, then like you're going to have a good time. And we are. Like we know like what to search for, right? As Derrick is speaking, and like because he doesn't give much away, but once you are aware of who he is, then you can kind of pick up on it. And I think for that very small cohort of people, like you can jump right in and it's enjoyable. And he does talk about, like in the pod that came out today, he talks about his Olympics experience. In the previous pod, he talks about getting traded to Boston and how someone just bought him a bottle of liquor, like once the news was broke to him, and he just like hit that hard with some of his teammates in San Antonio, then got on the plane to Boston the next day and was like crazy hungover when he rocked up to the facility and met everyone for the first time. So there's good stories there. And look, we're Celtics fans. It's a Celtics player, like a key Celtics player with a weekly pod in the driest content part of the year. Like this is good news. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. After you, of course, like and subscribe to this very podcast.
Yeah, apparently if you hit the like button right now, it has a little basketball animation. So I would highly recommend, treating yourself to said animation right now.
Please do.
It's amazing. Yeah. Derrick will get better at it too. I did see the clip about him being like super hungover when he came to Boston and very much enjoyed that. So I'll check it out. I got to support the boys. Got to support D White. So I'll listen to it. But you kind of sold me on it, Ben, if I'm being honest.
You really did. Great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, really you should be shooting up everyone's rotation here. Number 2 to this pod, obviously. Geez, I feel rusty today. I don't know why. I've got the week off work, and I feel like I'm just kind of kicking back here, casually live on the internet. So thanks for putting up with me.
It's good times.
Final thing to hit on, Trae Young. I don't know if you guys have caught up on this. This is why we've left this to the end of the podcast. But basically, I've got the picture here. This tweet, which is, if you're listening to the pod, a Photoshop of Trae Young in a Celtics jersey. This is classic end of pod stuff. It was liked by Trae Young on Twitter. Guys, thoughts? Does this mean anything at all? It is odd. Why would he like that if there wasn't something going on there? I guess that's why you raise this and talk about it to begin with.
Well, what's the bigger deal? Trae Young liking this photo of himself in a Celtics jersey, or John Cena following the podcast account on
Huge.
Twitter?
Yeah, the John Cena.
I think the John Cena thing.
I think you might be right.
I think the John Cena thing as well. Well, I mean, sure. Like Trae seems kind of like a troll. Like all the New York stuff. Like he's a troll. Kind of looks like one too. So I think that he was just doing it to be a troll, and it's working. And it has that effect on people, and then it gets on NBA Reddit, and everybody's talking about it, and then everyone proposes all these trades that don't work under the CBA. So why the hell not, man? It's the off season. Thank you, Trae. Give us a little something to talk about. Yeah. I don't know if I'd want him on the team, though, to be honest with you.
I think it is interesting because right now he is eligible for an extension and he hasn't got one. He obviously wants the max extension, and I think that giving Trae Young a max extension is not the best thing you can do. I think if we get back into like the De'Aaron Fox extension later this week or something like that, as we know, paying Jaylen Brown the supermax it makes it really hard to build your team in this new CBA era, especially if that player is not a top 5, top 10, top 15 guy. I think I'm higher on Trae than maybe you two are, but we're still yet to see him consistently perform in the playoffs at a high level with the defensive deficiencies and how that can cap your ceiling. But this team, this season, I'm excited to see. Depending on the deal, I could be interested in Trae Young. You pretty much guarantee to have. It just would never work though. Like you just money wise can't have Jalen Jackson and Derrick on the team. So if that proposition is Trae on a 30% max versus Jalen on whatever he's on, I'm just riding with Jalen every day of the week.
Yeah, Adam's not interested in the Trae Young business. A very exciting player to watch offensively, but if you can't defend, then you're kind of fucked in the playoffs. And we've seen that any opportunity like the Hawks have had in the playoffs typically. So just not interested in that archetype at all. It's nothing personally against Trae Young, but just not what I'm interested in as a fan. I think we can leave it there. We've kind of jumped all over the page today, guys. Anything that you want to wrap up on?
Oh, good. Shout out Brad Stevens, getting some content out there for us.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. It was going to be tough tonight if it wasn't for that news coming out overnight. So definitely thank you, Brad Stevens. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. Trigger that basketball animation. Also, leave us a comment. Leave a 5-star rating and review on the audio pod. That'd be really helpful to us. We'd really appreciate it. We'll be back with another pod later in the week. Spoonie, Jake, anything coming up for you guys? Celtics blog or anything else?
Nothing in the works right now. Nothing in the works right now, but I just got back yesterday, the day before, so I'll crank out something sometime soon.
Yeah, I'm writing something right now, but like I'm going back on vacation on Thursday for like a week, so we'll see when I get it out. I'm not even sure when. Hopefully soon, but probably next week sometime.
Just that time of year, folks. All right, until next time, go Celtics.